Here, 10K Project, the10kproject.com. Want to welcome everybody in the building to talk about wealth plans. So, we are in the process. So first of all, what's the 10K Project? Let me take a step back here. Simple. We are a community of Black investors who are funding Black business owners and Black entrepreneurs for as little as $100 per investment. So when 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each. That's $1 million. We can start funding our own businesses, creating our own jobs, profiting from our own innovations, and working to close the wealth gap. That's a really big thing that we are focused on. So, everything that we do within the 10K project is around personal finance, getting your families together, getting them organized, and then getting the community together in order for us to hit some big targets and goals from an economic point of view. I did receive an email from a woman who was not Black who asked if she could be an investor. The answer is yes. So anyone from any ethnicity can be an investor. I just want to make sure that we are acknowledging people who want to be an investor who are perhaps not Black, but we definitely know that we want a strong showing of Black people as part of the 10K project. Both on the entrepreneur side as well as the investor side. So again, the10kproject.com, and consider becoming a member. It's $100. It's a one-time lifetime payment of $100. And once you get in there, we're going to have investor education. And there are things we're talking about in there with regards to reducing your debt, credit repair, how to analyze a deal, all the way up to how we can, as a community, do economics 2.0. So all of those things we're discussing. So that's membership gets you that education, plus the opportunity to hear all of the pitches that are happening from the entrepreneurs that are looking to raise capital. You get to hear all of the pitches, and you get to decide which investments you want to do, which companies you want to fund. So again, that's the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com. Okay, so let's talk about wealth plans. And what is a wealth plan? Wealth plan is very simple. It is, could be as little as a page or a half a page, all the way up to several pages. And it talks about how you as an individual or how you as your family is going to, basically build wealth for yourselves. And the wealth plan could be a year, like a year-long plan. It could be 10 years. It could be 30 years. Now, it's very, 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 very difficult, 0.0001% possible for you to create a one-year wealth plan starting from scratch. Let's just be real. However, you could do big things in 10 years. 10 years. So one of the first things that I had on my list here, I'm looking down at my list, is I would consider doing a wealth plan that is a minimum of 10 years. Minimum of 10 years. And 10 years actually is a good time, for you to be able to do the things that will give you, a multiplication of benefits. So considering, doing a 10-year wealth plan is something that is, I think, important for anyone that is part of the 10K community. Whether or not you're a member, you might want to seriously consider creating a wealth plan for yourself and your family. If you have kids, if you have parents, because some of us have aging parents that we're going to have to take care of, what are the things that we need to do and have within the wealth plan in order for us to be successful? So it's just some of the things that you want to think about. The other thing I will say before we get into some of the things that you can have in your wealth plan is I'm going to compare having a wealth plan to having a diet and fitness and weight loss plan. So that is something that many of us, myself included, can relate to. The first thing that you do when you decide you want to lose weight, like really get serious about losing weight, is you do a real self-assessment. How much do I weigh now? How much do I want to weigh? What are the things that's in my way of reaching that goal? You know, all of the questions that you want to ask for your wealth plan are similar to what you want to ask for your health plan. What are the types of, in health plan, what are the types of things I should be eating? What are the types of things I need to remove from my diet, etc.? So with a wealth plan, it's kind of the same thing. And I have been doing a lot of research on Black America, where we are now, where our counterparts are, what the gaps are, and looking at some ways for us to figure out some of the things that we can do as a collective, and some of the ways that the 10K project is going to be able to help impact the economics within our community. So I have more research to do, obviously, with regards to that, but I will say on Friday is Juneteenth, and on Friday we are having our Juneteenth celebration. The topic is Economic Freedom 2.0. I have a working topic right now, but it's a little shady. And shady is probably not the right word. I have a different way of looking at a piece of news that came out today. Let's just say that. and, and I need to think about it and make sure that, we would actually want to put that up in the open market. But Juneteenth, which is Friday at 12 noon Eastern time, we are going to talk about Economic Freedom 2.0. It's going to be a call-in show, so you guys are able to come back here and listen to that and actually participate in the conversation on that specific day. So moving back to wealth plans. So what are some of the things that are in a wealth plan? I think, your income is one of the first things. Well, let's take a step back. Number one is doing a real assessment of where you are now in your finances. What's your current income? What are your current expenses? Being honest with yourself about what your current expenses are. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. What your net worth is. Do you own any assets? Do you own a house? Do you own any stocks? 401k, pension, all of those things. You need to figure out where you are now, and then figure out where you want to be in terms of those buckets, and what are the things that could potentially keep you from getting to that goal. So I have a few things on here on my list here. So the first is your income. How much money are you bringing in to your business? Or sorry, no, used to dealing with business owners all day. How much are you bringing into your household? And then how much should you be bringing into your household? Within the inner circle, so I was doing some research today, and there was a very good article that came out that talked about, let's see if I can find it here. It talked about traditional personal finance bloggers and some of the issues that we have as Black people that are not accounted for in traditional financial advice. And we're actually going to have that conversation in the members only section, because we want to have a real conversation about this. But I'll give you one of the things that came up, and it was about hair, right? And one of the Black financial bloggers said that traditional financial bloggers, for example, will say, you should cut out the amount of money that you spend on your hair, right? And um, the Black financial blogger, personal financial blogger, was saying that may not be as realistic for Black women as other groups of people because we have to do special things with our hair. You know, not all of us are able to take care of our hair the way that the way that it needs to be taken care of. We have to do certain styles of hair depending on the type of corporate job that we have. So, um, that's going to be an interesting conversation as well. I know I'm a little all over the place today. I apologize for that. But I thought that that was a very interesting conversation or article that I read. And we're going to have that as a conversation. But the first thing you want to think about is your income. You know, how much income are you making? How much income should you be making? And what's your plan in order to increase your income? Are you going to get a certain certification in order to, get a higher income? If you decide to go back to school for a higher income, how much in student loans are you going to have to take? And how much additional income is that going to give you? And are you going to be able to offset the amount of student loans, with that income, or would a certification help? Do you just need to change jobs? Because a lot of times when people change jobs, their income automatically goes up anyway. Do you need to change professions? Do you, or industries, etc. So what's your income today and what should it be? Do you need to start a side hustle? Sometimes some of us just, we need to start a side hustle. So Ryan's saying, I had a Black congressman in Annapolis tell me to cut my hair back in the day when I got the internship. Yes, so I've seen your hair, Ryan. And yeah, our hair is one of those things where when we're talking about income, especially, let's be real. There are some of us that can't get certain jobs because of the hairstyles that we wear. And I know that I think it was California that passed the law with regards to hair, and you can't discriminate based on hair. However, we do know that a lot of employers will discriminate based on hair. Yeah, they will. Ryan's also saying more money, more problems. I don't think that. I think more money, different problems. I've been broke and I've had a little bit of money. Having a little bit of money is always better. It's just different problems. It's not more. So I disagree. I know that that's what Biggie said, but I think if he were alive today, you know, it's different problems. Let's just say that. So yeah, so income is very important. So as part of your wealth plan, one of the things you want to look at is what's your income today and what do you want your income to be? And let's say it's a 10-year wealth plan. Well, what can it be in 12 months? What can it be in 24 months, in 5 years, in 10 years? And really mapping that out, because the difference between Black men and white men over the course of their careers is over, I think it's close to $2 million. I have to look at the numbers again, but it was definitely over $1 million. So what do you need to do with your income to at least get closer to that, so there's not such a disparity? Because over the course of your lifetime, if you make an extra $1.5 million, then you're able to do a lot more investing. You're able to have the retirement, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to think about your income and have that as part of your wealth plan. Number two are your expenses. And we had that conversation about our hair. There are other types of expenses that we as Black people have. Depending on the type of neighborhood you live in, you may have to pay more money for certain services because you may be limited in the retailers or the people that service you in that specific community. There's a pink tax as well. As a woman, we tend to have, different types of clothing. I couldn't come with the same clothing for every video. So we have to have larger wardrobes. Now, I'm not saying that I have red bottoms and all of that. However, I do have probably more shoes than a guy. Different shoes. You got to wear different styles. You got to switch it up. I'm sure that guys have different expenses. If you're dating or whatever, and you want to wine and dine this girl. You think she may be the one. Then yeah, if you are a man and you have kids, you know, um, you'll have different expenses. So you do want to look at your wealth plan and look at the expenses that you have. Look at the expenses that you'll have in 10 years, because a lot of times that'll change as well. If you're a single guy today with no kids, but in 10 years, you want to get married and have kids, and maybe you want that woman to be able to stay at home and raise your kids and homeschool those kids, that's going to be different as well. So you got to, again, think about your income and your expenses together, right? What else goes in your 10-year wealth plan? I would say the assets that you want. One of the things that I did in the latter part of 2018 was I bought a home. Why did I do that? Because I got to a point where I really got serious about 5 years ago with regards to my money and wealth. And I looked around at all of the people, Black, white, Asian, etc., and I asked who were the most successful people and what did they have, what did they do, and what did they have. One of the things that I noticed amongst all of them, especially my business owner, entrepreneur friends, was they all owned a home. And I will tell you, owning a home has been great for me personally and my personal financial situation. So to me, having that asset of home ownership was very important. And I know Robert Kiyosaki says your primary home is not an asset. In our community, yes, it is. In my opinion, I'm not. I should say this. I'm not a personal. I don't have any licenses to talk about this. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. This is just my opinion. So I guess I should say, instead of our community, a home is an asset, I'm going to say on my balance sheet. When Cherie is talking about Cherie, her home is her asset. But you can decide for yourself. But what kind of assets do you want in terms of, maybe it's your retirement savings, thinking about that in 10 years, how much money do you want there? Maybe it's rental properties that you want. Maybe you want to buy, stuff that'll give you royalties, or, you want to buy into businesses, or whatever it is that you want, thinking about the assets that you want. And also, 10-year wealth plan, thinking about the net worth that you want. What is net worth? It's the assets that you own minus the liabilities or things that you owe. So within this house, I have, like, my own personal house. I have, the value of the home itself minus the mortgage that I owe on it. The difference is my net worth. Now, I have other assets and liabilities as well, but the difference is my net worth. So you may say, one of my dreams when I first got started with this was just have a positive net worth. I was tired of having a negative net worth, and that took about 4 years for me to accomplish, but I did. For some of you, it's going to be paying off that student debt finally. Whatever it is, in order to get your net worth positive or to the highest level that you want to get it to, that's what you want to think about. So also on the 10-year wealth plan, one of the things that I needed to do, I did not have great credit when I started my wealth plan journey, and I decided to get into some, credit repair, learning about it, figuring out. You may not know this, but your insurance companies, I have State Farm. My State Farm, I learned, was looking at my credit, and a lot of these insurance companies will charge you more based on your credit. A lot of jobs will not hire you based on your credit score. So again, going back to the income and the wealth plan, sometimes you're not able to get into certain jobs because you don't have the credit score that's needed. Now, fixing your credit is not a 2-day thing. It took me 2 years. I'm not going to lie. It took me 2 years to get it up to where I really wanted and needed it to be. But it was like every month me looking at it saying, okay, what do I need to do this month in order to get it improved? And it improved over time. And I invested in, um, in what do you call it? It wasn't like a free credit report. I spent like $30 a month on a credit monitoring system that just, every month I was able to go in and see what my credit score was. And then every 3 months, I was able to download my credit scores from my credit reports from all three bureaus and able to write the letters that were necessary saying these things need to be taken off, etc. It took 2 years, but it happened. And I will tell you, when it happened and I had over 700 credit score, I was like, wow, you know. So this again goes into a 10-year wealth plan. And if I were still working in corporate America, then I'm able to, say, okay, now that I've got a great credit score, I've got some money in the bank, I've got an emergency fund, I've got all these things set up. Now I'm able to maybe have some wiggle room with starting a business or, of the other things that I want to do. So Lena is saying, I have an excellent credit score, but do not have enough for a deposit to purchase a home. Is there anything I can do? So, Lena, I will say that I'm definitely not the expert. However, I do understand that there are certain grants in different counties. Um, I would suggest you start looking at YouTube videos of how to buy a home with little to no money down. That would be the first thing. The second is I would start talking to financial planners and mortgage brokers as well. Because again, depending on the type of job that you have and how much you earn, if you have kids, things like that, I know that there are certain programs that you could potentially qualify for. And probably the best person to talk to would be a mortgage broker. Now, there's a difference between a mortgage person that only represents like one person. Like, don't go to the bank and go to that mortgage person because they only represent the bank and the bank's products. You want to find a mortgage broker. You want to find somebody who can represent a lot of mortgage products because they're the people that usually are the ones who are tapped into those free resources in order to help you with the deposit. The other thing is, don't be afraid to talk to 5 or 6 mortgage brokers. I would also suggest one of the first questions you ask them is, do you frequently work with first-time home buyers? Because there are some mortgage brokers that don't work with a lot of first-time home buyers, so they don't know a lot of the programs. It should not cost you anything to talk to a mortgage broker. Now, they will pull your credit. So one of the things, again, talk to your attorney, talk to your accountant, but one of the things I would suggest is before you have any of them pull your credit, kind of get a strategy and a plan in place. Or you can download your own credit reports and just show those to the mortgage broker. They should be able to look at those, make sure it has a credit score on it, and there is a mortgage credit score as well. So make sure you have like your overall credit score and your mortgage credit score, and show that to the mortgage brokers before they start pulling your credit. If anybody else has anything else for Lena, please put it in there because I by no means am the person who can give you all sorts of advice, but that would be the beginning advice that I would that I would suggest to you. Somebody else is saying, I saw something that did, if you have 3%, not the 20%, you can get in the home. Yes, there, I think it's an FHA or something like that. Again, go to the mortgage broker, but yes, if you have 3% and you can, I think, pull it out of your retirement funds without it being a penalty. Again, go to a mortgage broker that knows like first time home buyer laws and programs and things like that. Sometimes depending on the type of job you have, if you're a teacher, if you're, a police officer, well, I know I shouldn't say police officer right now, but if you're a public servant, let me say, if you work for the government, sometimes there will be extra programs in there to help you. So I would definitely do that. But put that on your wealth plan. You know what? I want to be a homeowner. And trust me, it may take you a little bit longer than you think, but you can do it. You can get in there and you can have pride of ownership. So we talked about the credit score. The last thing that I had, and this was a big thing for me, this was actually the breaking point for me with my money, and that is an emergency fund. On your wealth plan, how much money do you want in an emergency fund? Now, I know Susie Orman and all of these people are talking about you should have 6 to 18 months of expenses in an emergency fund. Let's be real. For a lot of us, for most of us, that is, I won't say unattainable, but that is a lot more difficult and a lot more of a reach than other people. However, did you know that the average person, if they had car troubles and the mechanic said $400 to fix your car, most Americans could not put their hands on $400 without selling something? My own personal story was I was so broke one day and I needed gas in my car that I had to go into my mother's bedroom, and I went into her change. She had that little, how your mother has that change um, bowl where she puts her extra change. And I literally was fishing for quarters and dimes and nickels to put gas in my car. And I was like, enough is enough. This is not the way to live. And I got very serious about my emergency fund. And when I got serious about my emergency fund, all of a sudden I got serious about my expenses. What was I spending money on that maybe I could cut back on? And I've talked about this before. I did what I called the envelope method. It turns out it's very common, but I did this thing called the envelope method, which was every 2 weeks I would pay my bills, right? And I would have a certain amount of money left over. And I knew every 2 weeks I could take out $300. And I would literally go to the ATM, take out $300. I put that money in an envelope. Anytime I spent money on gas, on food, on having dinner with friends, anything outside of paying the light bill and things like that was taken out of that $300. When I was married a long time ago and we had our kids, they got an allowance too. And I said, don't come back for anything else. This is all you get. And they knew I meant it, right? And I was able to save so much money. And I every time I took out the $300, I like consistently took it out, and it accumulated over time to the point where I had more than $600 cash, to the point where I was like, okay, I shouldn't have this much cash on me. So I started leaving some at home. Now I need to pick that up again. But I will tell you that envelope method, it works. It works. So if that doesn't work for you, looking at something else that does work, because I will tell you, like swiping your credit card is, it is, you actually, it's been statistically proven you tend to spend more money when you swipe your credit card than when you just use cash. Because you're literally sitting there thinking, if you're using cash, do I really want to spend this money on this? So just a suggestion if that works for you. But again, 10-year wealth plan, these are the things that I have in the wealth plan. What's your income today? What do you want it to be? How do you get there? How do you get to the increased income? Do you need to get a certification? Do you need to go back to school? If you're choosing to go back to school, how much debt are you going to get in to go back to school? And is that going to be worth it? If you're choosing to go to community college, are you able to take classes and pay cash for them. Again, is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it? Right? So increase your income, looking at your expenses over a 10-year wealth plan. Now, when I say that, I do mean some of us have aging parents that may need to come live with us or that we may need to contribute to them as well. What you don't want to do is have a wealth plan that doesn't consider where your kids are going to be in 10 years. Are you going to be able to help them, with college? If they're going, all of those things need to be considered. Where are your expenses today? Where they should they be today? And where will they most likely be in 10 years? And accounting for that. Your assets. What do you want to own? Your net worth. How much do you want to be worth? Your credit score and an emergency fund. So that is the discussion for today, in regards to wealth plan. One of the things that we are doing within the 10K project, we are negotiating with the gentleman right now who does wealth plans, and he's an ace at it. So if you are a member of the 10K project, in October, so right now we're starting to have just basic discussions in the member section of the 10K project, starting most likely in October, but it'll be fall, most likely October. We will have the Knowledge Center up and running, and one of the things that we're going to have is a deep dive into these wealth plans and how to put them together. And then if you need assistance with putting them together, you'll probably have to pay a little bit of money for it to be done. But I can tell you, if you're serious about it, it's worth it to work with somebody to get a wealth plan done for you and your family. We, as the 10K project, we want to see you win. Now, we could be shady. If we were the average entrepreneurs, co-founders out there, we could say, all we want to do is have you put your money in no matter what. You don't care if it's your rent money, if it's your mortgage money, if you have an emergency fund, etc. We don't want that. We want you to win financially. And in order for you to do that, for some of you, it really is about having this wealth plan in order to win. So that's it for me. It's the10kproject.com. Become a member. It's a one-time, lifetime payment of $100. You get all the education. You'll get it. You will get information about, creating a wealth plan. You will get information about reducing taxes, increasing your income, being able to evaluate the deals on our platform, and so much more. So I want to invite you to become a part of the 10K project, and stay tuned, because every Wednesday around 1 o'clock-ish, we will be having our personal finance lesson of the week. Also on Friday, this coming Friday is Juneteenth, 12 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about Economic Freedom 2.0. And I think I'm going to bring out a controversial topic. And with that, we're also going to open up the phone lines, and the phone lines plus a controversial topic. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. So, all right, everybody. God bless you. Have a great day. Take care.